Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and I'm here today to talk about Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1. Chris, you are dialing in from Glasgow. Chris McElwain. We've got Kevin McCluskey in from Hungary, and Ian Conroy all the way from New Zealand. Classic game of two halves. Kevin McCluskey, I'm going to start with you there. What was it about us in the beginning of that second half? We were a completely different animal. Back foot, Aberdeen came at us. We didn't get a grip in the game until we made the subs.
Yeah. I'll start off with a comment that will probably make me unpopular in the comment section, but I thought that was actually a really good and enjoyable game of football to watch. Obviously, the result didn't go right, so it doesn't make it a good game from a Celtic perspective, but it was actually, I thought, really entertaining to watch that game. Part of what made it entertaining was that, again, the Jekyll and Hyde from us, pretty good first half. We were completely dominant. And it seems to be that when we go in at half time in games like this, we're not expecting a reaction from the opposition somehow. And I don't know why, because it's natural, surely, that if the opposition's been under the cosh for 45 minutes, they're going to get a bit of a rollick and they're getting a kick up the backside and a motivation to come out for the second half. And it was like watching the game at Rugby Park against Kilmarnock all over again, because Aberdeen came out and I'll give them lots of credit for that second half. They had passion and fight and desire to go and win that game, which was everything that we were lacking. So yeah, I think we've come out in the second half kind of expecting that it will be rinse and repeat of the first half, and we'll go on. If we keep on doing what we're doing, we'll keep on creating chances and we'll get a goal, and once we get in front, we'll win the game. Aberdeen made sure that didn't happen. So I'd say big credit to them, but big worries for us that we were not able to compete for, say, the first 15, 20 minutes of that half, and then we left ourselves open to counter-attacks for the rest of the half. If it wasn't for Joe Hart making 2 or 3 really, really big saves, we could be sitting here with even, sadder, more depressed faces on at the moment. So kudos to Joe Hart for saving us there.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to bring up that point, Kevin, and run with it. Gerard Quinn, no pass marks for anyone. Players have no interest or desire. We'll come back to that as well. Too many balls going back and at a slow pace. Too many balls going back and at a slow pace. That's Rodgers. That's the way he plays. He wants complete possession, complete control. That is the game plan, Gerard, which I find really frustrating. We spoke about this at half-time where we said if a player carries the ball, and the two guys that were doing it in the first half was Callum McGregor and Liam Scales, then it kind of changes the shape of your opposition, puts Aberdeen on the back foot. Or if you play that long searching pass, Nawrocki was doing it well in the first half, then it can create a space for the likes of Kyogo. We didn't do it enough in the second half. Second half, right back to that ball possession, the absolute control. No pass marks for everyone. Well, I'm going to say Joe Hart. Chris, pass marks for Joe Hart, because if it wasn't for him, we're sitting here 2 or 3-1 down here.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right. I mean, first half, look, we were dominant, right? We were dominant without scoring, which is a frustrating aspect of what we've seen in a lot of games this season. We're creating a lot. We just can't seem to get that final product, that final ball into the net. But you always think if you're playing that well at half time, you go in the second half and you build on that. You carry on and you do well. But I think Kevin summed it up really well there. You get that reaction. You've got to anticipate that if a team that's just been on the end of a hammering and still come out with a 0-0 at half time, the manager's going to come in there and say, listen, we're still in this, boys. Let's get out there and have a go. And I think that's what happened. And we weren't ready for it. Joe Hart, I thought, was outstanding in that second half. I think he covered for some pretty erratic displays from both of our centre-backs. I think, after sod's law, isn't it? We were praising Scales at half-time and I thought we were pretty solid defensively, and then both Scales and Nawrocki had, some real flaky moments there. Bernabei, I think, absolutely should have been hooked. He was caught so far out of position for the Miovski goal. I mean, he was in a different time zone when that goal went in. But yeah, it's just this frustrating aspect. When we're dominant, when we're on top, we can't take advantage of it. And I don't know, is that a mentality problem? Is it the tactical inflexibility that's getting us? I mean, we brought on Kuhn, we brought on I think the two of them actually looked relatively decent in moments. I thought they'd done well. I thought Kuhn, I don't think the shot was going in. I think he got lucky with the deflection, but he had to be in there, and he took the shot. He speculated and got the reward. But we should have been 4 or 5 goals up at half time, and then to allow the team to come back in is kind of it's endemic of our season. We were dominating way ahead of Rangers earlier on in the season. Now we're letting them back in, and it's negligent. It's negligent on the field and off the field.
No, it definitely is. I mean, the frustrations obviously are coming through on the comment section. 1,600, in fact, 1,700 live on the post match. Let us know how frustrated you are. What is causing this? Where do we start as a fan base? Because obviously we can discuss it here. We can share views, disagree, and debate. We were talking during the week about what happens if we don't win this league this season. And with results like that after 6 straight wins, Ian, you basically lay it on a plate. Rangers playing this afternoon against Livingston, by some distance the worst team in the league. That's a win. They'll win their game in hand. It will be all square down to goal difference. We could have brought in quality in January. I'm not about to take all the excuses about it's a hard win. If you want the quality in, Ian, you can go and get it. We basically tried to play it safe. We were overcautious as ever. The recruitment team yesterday, we were talking about, right, they've not done it for 4 windows in a row, get rid of them. How do you do that? Start with the head of recruitment. It's simply not good enough. And this is the result. You go up to Pittodrie, a team who, that bunch of players that were playing for Aberdeen today got Barry Robson the sack. They're sitting 8th in the league. They're not a good side. We've got to go up there and win. And at 1-0, the conversations we were having as a group were about, right, you need to step up. You're 1-0 down. This is Celtic. You need to show the guts. You need to show the character, the state of mind, the mental fortitude to pull this back. And I think the problem we've got at the moment is there's clutchy players who don't have that. They don't have that mental strength, Ian, to come back from that, win the game. It's all about, you know what, there might be 2 or 3 moments of skill that I put in there that I could put on a show reel and stick it on Instagram. I couldn't care less about that. Get the win. And there's not enough players in that team for me to have the mentality to get that win.
As I was saying before about, I'm not trying to be ageist, but by the very nature of a younger sort of team, you've got that. You haven't got that experience. You have that kind of, you look at McGregor. You've got a team full of McGregors, would find a way to win somehow. A lot of that comes down to experience and being there and done it. So there's a few new players in the team. Like I said before about Palmer, it's like he's 2 years too early for him. There's a player in there, but ineffectual really. It's pointless being there, for all he did. I'm not going to get too upset with you. I think Kevin, it was a good game. It would have been if we were a neutral anyway. But we couldn't handle the high press. We could not handle it. The pitch looked a bit bobbly. I don't know if it was just my eyes or, but it just looked like we just couldn't get it. The ball wouldn't stick for us. See, he couldn't fell over the ball when he was in the box. I don't know if that was just him having clown shoes on or whether he actually the pitch was cutting up a little bit. Maybe a bit of both. But we just couldn't get into a rhythm, and it happens. It's not an easy place to go. And it can go one or two ways, can't it? When you get that new manager bounce or the assistant manager, they can either get absolutely a new one ripped or a positive result, and that's happened today. So, we've kind of been undone by our own, cautiousness in the transfer market. And I know that Brendan sort of, it's almost like sometimes he comes out, like these kind of like dodgy clairvoyants at the fair. It's like, there's a seance like, I can sense a man or a woman. That's just kind of like Brendan. It's like, in the transfer market, we nearly got this guy. I wonder if we nearly got another Declan Rice, or we nearly got, because that's what he alluded to. Whether it's the truth or not, I don't know. But like, just go and get them. We've got money in the bank. Go and get them. And apparently, there was players that wanted to come, but the clubs wouldn't let them come. Who are of that next level up. Sounds like bullshit to me, to be honest. But but anyway, that aside, I'm not going to chuck the toys at the pram. It's over a season. I don't think Rangers are going to win every single remaining game. You know, they will probably go top next week. But you know, it's over the season. I think they will drop points. We might drop for more points as well, but I still fancy us for the league.
Yeah, well, you know, this is the thing with regards to any display. What I've certainly learned in the 4 years of covering the games and every single Celtic game in that period is the disappointment after the game. There's a lot of emotion attached to that. And absolutely, yeah, you can look at the season in its entirety, but I do feel that the issues that we've been talking about all season have come home to roost. If January is so difficult a transfer window, make sure you've already got your business done. Don't be bringing in 9 guys who basically won't make a difference to your first 11. The only one that has done is Palmer, and even he is dividing opinion at this moment. I mentioned it before. You know, if it hadn't been for Carter Vickers' injury, we would have had 3 of those 9 guys out on loan already, one transfer window later. 3 of them haven't made as much as 900 minutes appearance-wise for the Celtic first team. That's 6 players out of the 9. Another one of the players is Awata, who we knew all about. You know, so he was a signing that it's not as if we've gone out and scouted him in the summer and found him, and the recruitment team have done well. He was brought in by Ange Postecoglou, so no one can take credit for that, even though he's not playing because he's injured at the minute. It was a dreadful transfer window in the summer. No one can convince me otherwise. I can't see anybody having any kind of weight of argument to convince me any other way. It left us in a position, Kevin, where we're going into a January transfer window with every excuse in the book all lined up about it being a difficult window. But you've made it difficult. You've made it difficult because on the Monday before the window shuts, we're contacting strikers who haven't got a clue that Celtic are interested in them. You know, there's no way, if we had been interested in that striker, that he has been on a list that has basically been put to the gap. By the way, this isn't a go at Ida. I thought he played, you know, when he came on, he made a difference. Him and Kuhn made a difference when they came on as substitutes today. That was the big thing. But our recruitment is a shambles. It's disjointed. The club at the moment is dysfunctional. People going about, you know, you're scared to upset the club. What are they going to do to me? You know, they can't revoke my season ticket, right? They can't do that. I've not misbehaved in the stadium. Or they might not let me into a press conference. Right, okay, that's fine. But we're going to speak our mind anyway, Kevin. It comes down to that, doesn't it? It comes down to poor management. People on the comments are saying, listen, this isn't on the board, it's on the players. It's a collective. Failure at a football club is a collective. We have lacked an ambition this season to improve, right? Dermot Desmond's came in and got his man, but the people who run the club day to day and week to week have stuck to their stance in terms of spend, recruitment, being overcautious, keeping a pile of money in the bank just in case we don't get into the Champions League. That is a prophecy that is going to happen. You know what I mean? You're going to make it happen by not investing. And we've seen today there was a moment where, you know, we would have been really, really struggling if Alistair Johnson couldn't play on. Because, you know, the squad is that shambolic. We would not have had a like-for-like replacement. We would have been too overcautious to go 3 at the back at that stage, even though I was kind of fancying it to go out for a win. And that's where we are just now. And going from, I think, 8 points of a lead, which was our biggest lead of the season, to the point where Rangers will be neck and neck with us. And it's a dog fight. It's not even a title fight, because I don't think any of the 2 teams are that great, Kev.
Well, we're certainly not great. I don't watch Rangers, so I don't know how good they truly are, but I know that in the 2 games we've played them, they've looked pretty average. And sorry, I don't know if you can hear interference from outside. Somebody's outside.
Can't hear a thing from
chopping down
outside.
a tree or something like that. So,
all right. Or
so I'll try and shout over that.
James French is in your room with his laptop on.
So I'm going to have to just go and close my window, and I'll be back in a second because I can't hear a thing.
I'll throw it to Chris. There's plenty. There's absolutely plenty coming through in the comment section. And you know, this isn't about being during the week. Celtic fans were called demanders, Chris. They were called demand. They're not supporters. Listen, that really irked me, right? Because I've got a lot of respect for Andrew Smith. Used to work for the Celtic View. I've met him, and you know, I think he's an excellent investigative writer and journalist, and I think he's very good at his job. But what really annoys me is if Celtic fans are called entitled, or we're called what this new one, demanders. How can you differentiate between what is a supporter? So if you're a fan of a football club, right, and you buy your season ticket and you buy your merch and you talk about it and you push content and all this, surely you are able, as a football fan, as you've always been in a supporters bus or in a boozer or with your mates, to have an opinion on the club. Surely you can demand the best from your football club, Chris.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I think we need to be realistic about our club and the position of our club and how our club stands up against the majority of other clubs in Scottish football. Look, we're a successful club. We're a successful club with a lot of resources comparatively. And if we're just looking at the best of the game, we should be on paper head and shoulders above all but one other team in the SPL, right? I mean, it's just a fact. When you've got that inherent advantage in your team, now we don't have the God-given right to go and beat any team, right? That's disrespectful to all the other teams. Everybody can come and show more passion and have a great day on the pitch. But if you just break it down to cold, hard, basic numbers and facts and stats or whatever you want to call it, we should be beating 90% of the teams in the league week in, week out. And so it's not entitled to have that level of expectation, right? Because that's what it's just based on fact. But we have to reflect that on the pitch, and we have to reflect that in terms of our investment in the team and the club, and that's why we get frustrated. It's not entitlement; it's frustration. It's frustration at the fact that we are not building on success. We're not taking advantage of the financial rewards that we earn through our success. We're not making progress in the competition that we're aspiring to try and reach and achieve as supporters. And we're all crying out to say, okay, we're good. We are good. We're the top team in Scotland at the moment, well, certainly at this point in time. But we're being negligent. We're sitting back and saying, no, that's enough. We've done enough. Don't need to go forward anymore. We're okay. And that's frustration. It's not entitlement. It's not demanding. We just want to see us build on success. That's it. We want to see it continue. We want sustained success. We don't want success one year and then drop off the next year, let Rangers come back in and back again. We're back again. Great, there we go. No, we want sustained success. We want to build on our success. And you know what? See if Rangers have similar resources, if they get back to that point and they come back and they build a brilliant team like they had in the 90s, hopefully legally. But if they build a team and they come in and they compete, and you know what? The league does yo-yo, but at least we are progressing as well. We're getting better and they're getting better, and it becomes an even title race. Most people would say, don't like the fact we lost that league, but at least we're a really good team and we gave it a real go, and it was purely on the pitch that we just didn't quite hit the mark that time. But see, when you're so far ahead and you've been so far ahead, and then you sort of think, hang on a minute, surely what we need to do is sign a couple of really good players in here, augment that championship winning squad. That squad that's only marginally removed from a treble winning squad. Get and build on that success, and we don't do it. Then that's no wonder the fans are frustrated.
No, and you know what? We're not. This is not just about a 1-1 draw with Aberdeen at Pittodrie. That's not what it's about. It's about big issues that we've been discussing since the beginning of the season. Chill Pill, by the way, just to let you know, there's not much of 2,000 on the live stream, which means that there is a hell of a lot of comments coming through. Tell me the names of the people who are lurking, as Chill Pill has done right here, with the appropriate emoji, and obviously I will then block them. It's difficult to do that in live time, so thank you for bringing that to my attention, and obviously I will act on it. I said we're in a dogfight. Gary says we've got poodles. I think that goes back to the mentality of it. It's the mentality of building a side and then chucking 9 new bodies into a treble-winning side and just hoping it works. Why can't we get to the point where, the 11 players we've signed this season, why wasn't it 4, right? And the combined wages and the combined transfer fees, why wouldn't it be 4? And anybody that comes back to me and says, Ajeti and Barkas, 5 million doesn't guarantee a good player. No, of course it doesn't. But you're shopping in a completely different arena when it comes to upping the ante of the quality of the player And if you use a Yeti and Barkas, I'm coming back at you with Carter, Vickers and Jota, because they didn't do too bad, didn't they? Ian McGinley, how did Celtic not see this coming? This is the thing. I'll go back to the COVID season. Kevin McCluskey, you were on that, on the streams regularly during that season. We were calling it in October. And we waited 4 months as a football club. And there's been an interview since from Dermot Desmond who says, we like at our club to be fair and to give people who have been loyal to our club a chance. Anybody could see it coming. There's issues with Celtic right now. There's a dysfunctional nature between manager, recruitment team. I mean, the managers even said they could have been braver, but obviously the recruitment team are hamstrung by the board. And that's where when people say, how's it the board's fault? Well, the root of the issue is the players we've got, the collection of players we've got right now aren't good enough. So whose fault is it, right? I mean, there's also the argument in there that Rodgers isn't getting enough out of certain players, Kevin. And I take that because Kyogo's the big one, isn't he? Kyogo, and I mean, a couple of moments today, but he's the shadow of his former self. And, your biggest task as a manager would be figuring out why that is and then making sure you can put it right, Kev. It doesn't look like we're going to, though, does it?
It doesn't, and that's the worrying thing, and it's been like that from the very beginning of this season, really. I mean, I would think if I was a manager coming into a club and I had a player of the qualities and abilities of Kyogo up front, I'd be building my team and my style around him to get the most out of him.
Yeah.
He's the focal point. He's the guy that's going to score the goals, and he's done it for the 2 seasons beforehand, so he's got a proven track record. To come in and have kind of this bigger a change in style that Rodgers is wanting to implement, that totally removes all of his good qualities without actually finding another way of replacing them within the team is just bizarre. Because it's fine, like he did do it with Griffiths. He'd take a 40-goal-a-season striker and he stopped playing to his strengths, but we got goals from elsewhere. So it was fine. But we're not getting the goals from elsewhere, not on a regular basis. So that's really worrying. And the fact that Rodgers doesn't seem to want to change it, or hasn't identified it, or is coming out the lines before that he hasn't asked Kyogo to change his game when he clearly has, because he's not playing the same game anymore. So there's definitely something not right there. There's a major disconnect and worry. And to be fair to us on this podcast as well, we've spoken about this after games that we've won.
Yeah.
There's no just that we're doing it in a game that after a game that we didn't win. We've been highlighting this all season that something hasn't been right. And we can sit here as fans, identify what's going wrong and come up with solutions. It's worrying that the manager, the coaching staff aren't doing it. I think it was maybe Chris mentioned this at half time, or maybe it was just one of the comments that came in about why is Alistair Johnston playing that high ball into Kyogo every time? It's like, because he's been told to do it by Brendan Rodgers. That's a tactic to do that. But why? I mean, clearly it doesn't work. So either Johnson's got to be big enough to be in the park and step up and go, listen, I'm going against the manager's instructions here, and we're going to play the pass that works. But he's sticking to instruction, and it's just so clearly wrong. And again, we can see it. How can't they? But yeah, to go and talk about the players themselves, I don't necessarily blame them. I think if the players aren't good enough, to a degree, it's not their fault that they're not good enough, or rather, it's not their fault that they're playing for Celtic and they're not good enough to play for us. That's the recruitment team, and that can kind of get to your question, Paul, is where the blame starts and ends. Really, it's the recruitment team. If we get the recruitment right, we've got a far better chance of being successful. We take a scattergun approach in the summer. We sign 3 or 4 wingers to replace one when one player would have done. We did the same in defence, and we've downgraded with every signing that's come in. And for a club that wants to, or that should want to be ambitious and want to progress and move forward, the way that we are running this club just now is an absolute joke. And it's been coming. It's been coming for a long time. We've handed the momentum to Rangers. I unfortunately no longer share Ian's enthusiasm that we'll still go in and win the league? I think we should, because on paper we've got the best team. But when it comes to games like this, we don't have the fight and we don't have the right
The
players.
character.
I think the recruitment picking the wrong players to come in and fill the holes in that team. Yeah, I'm quite angry today, Paul.
Doesn't it highlight, right? Doesn't it highlight that Ange was so definitely a fluke, right?
No, it was 100%.
Oh, we locked out big time with him.
Succession
Yes.
plan, right? So, and like you look at the great progressive teams of modern teams. If you had Ange in the pipeline, then you'd have the next Ange as part of your succession plan.
Yep.
So it's all scattergun. So we got lucky with Ange, but then what we should have done, and it got me thinking about when Lenny came in after Rodgers went down to Leicester, and he was asked, he started to sort of see it through, and he said, "Look, I just didn't want to change anything. It was a winning team, and it was hard, but that was his experience taught him that, and he did it, and he got us over the line, and we won the league." You look back to when Souness, I think he's admitted, when he after they left Rangers and he went to Liverpool, and he dismantled a team too quickly. He changed things too quickly. Obviously, through hindsight, he's come to that conclusion. But a lot of fans knew that anyway. But you're right, and it's the players that are coming in they're not an adequate replacement for the players we've lost. We keep just trying to get the money in, and hoping for the best, not actually planning for the best. We need first team ready players. We've got enough money in the bank, and it's like, but we're just chancers.
That's exactly what it is. I always go back to this, the chairman's notes on the financials in September when we were talking about players, and obviously I'm talking about a disconnect. It's a disconnect because if the club were to hear what we're saying just now, their attitude is, what do you know? What do you know about recruitment? What do you know about running a football club? This formula, says Peter Lowell, talking about the way that we recruit, this formula has underpinned both our footballing success and financial stability over a number of years. And now it is vital that we adhere to it. They're not changing it. We're going to adhere to it because it's worked for a number of years. And this is the thing. There is absolutely no diversity, creativity, or even ambition in terms, or braveness, if you want to use one of Brendan's words. Anti-fascist, thank you for calling out RFC 55. The name gave it away. The emoji is appropriate and he's gone. Bye-bye. And Bears, 1872, just before you get blocked as well. Poundland, Johnny Marr, you know all about Poundland. That's all your club cost when it was sold. A couple of times, actually, your old club. So, yeah, thanks for contributing to a Celtic state of mind. And please enjoy your ban. AGSC, check. We are missing 6 first-team players. Fair play. Yeah. If they were so pivotal to us winning the fixtures they were going to miss, why didn't we go for the Asian Cup games to be postponed? Because we simply... I'm going to bring it up, right, because you've mentioned, Kevin McCluskey, you've mentioned the Griffiths example and the fact that Kyogo, we're not comparing the players, we're comparing the way that, they've gone from prolific goal scorers to either non-playing or non-prolific strikers under Brendan Rodgers. The other one was Rio Atati. David Turnbull was picked in front of Rio Atati for the first game of this season. Turnbull is now no longer required by Celtic and he's been punted to Cardiff City. Rio Atati last season, had it not been for injury, would have been our player of the season. The guy is a baller. He's a game changer. He does things in a match that can unlock a defence like that defence today. I know he wasn't available and now he's injured. But Chris, he did it at the beginning of the season with Rio Atati. You build your team around guys like him and Kyogo. You don't play against their strengths or drop them. Yeah,
I think that's one of the frustrations for me has been where's the consistency in the strategy, right? Both on and off the pitch, right? If you're going to hedge your bets on David Turnbull, look at the first game of the season, he had a decent game. I've never really thought I've always thought he was a kind of moments player, a player of moments rather than a guy who, influences a game for 90 minutes. But a decent player, and wish him all the best down at Cardiff. But yeah, you've got a guy who was influencing matches a whole game last season. Rio Atati. He's a guy you build the team around. Matt O'Reilly's kind of stepped into that role a little bit this year. So again, a guy you want to try and build your team around. I think it was Ian, I don't know if it was Ian or Kevin that said it, talked about Kyogo being the focal point. build your team around the guy, build your style of play around guys like that are proven that they are going to deliver. Over 2 seasons they've done it, and they've done it and they've won trebles. They're outstanding. But we went through the mill about trying to replace Hatate. It was Bernardo in the Champions League games. It was Turnbull one week. It was Home one week. God, everyone else was Alata one week. It was like, who? Surely to goodness, the managers and the coaches on the training field are saying, right, he's the best. No, he's the best this week, but yeah, he's the one that I think can consistently deliver and go in there and fit and play around guys like O'Reilly and allow McGregor to play his role. It drives me insane. It just doesn't seem. It almost seems like we're flying by the seat of our pants. And the recruitment strategy embodies that as well. Here's Ida. Now, I absolutely hope Ida goes on and does well for us. I thought in flashes today, his movement, his one-touch stuff, his build-up play for a guy that's just come into the club, I thought was actually pretty good. So I'm going to say that. So I'm hoping the boy goes on and does well. But if he does, it's through luck, not through strategy. Because if he's only identified on or approached on Monday, that means he's not been part of our recruitment strategy. He's not been on that shortlist.
No.
Or if he has been, he's been well down that shortlist. Right? So fingers crossed he goes on and he proves, he proves that wrong and he does well. But there's a lack of consistent and cohesive strategy, both on and off the park at the moment. And I think there needs to be changes in both those aspects, both either on the training pitch amongst the coaches, maybe even a manager, and in the back room with a recruitment strategy and whoever the hell else is making decisions there, because it's so disconnected at the moment.
It is. It's disconnected, and some fans feel disconnected. Red Scotland's on his way up to Celtic Park right now to let them know that he is feeling disconnected and angry.
Shark in hand.
Shark in hand. Harris fencing. Yeah, Jamie, no flair, no pace, no desire. We have lost a bit of flair. But I'm going to say, before we go, that's half an hour, and as I say, I loathe to cut off 1,700 people live. But Ian, I was impressed with Kuhn. I thought Kuhn came on, he showed all these things, talking about flair and desire. I think he did show that. I think that what he gave to the team was vastly superior to what we've seen from Abada recently. Abada is a player that I rate really, really highly. He's not kicked the ball this season. I know he's had these issues with injuries. He's not kicked the ball for Celtic this season. Kuhn, for me, looked far more direct. He was willing to take on players. There's a bit of the Paddy Roberts about him, not just the way he looks, but the way he plays. And he does so far. I mean, we've only seen him a couple of times. He was, for me, one of very few bright spots today, Ian.
Yeah, it's interesting that actually. When Brendan said it, I think Brendan, I only read it somewhere. The stuff I read, but it was he compared the new guy to Dembele. I think I read that. Unless I dreamt that. But he had that certain attributes as the big man up front. He said it was a bit like Dembele, and Kuhn, funnily enough, has similarities to Paddy Roberts. So
yeah,
maybe he's trying to get the old band back together, but just with different people. So time will tell. Yeah, time will tell. But I think Kuhn he looked a tidy player. I think I'd like to see more of him. Yeah.
The final thing I'm going to say, at half time, someone said the skills experiment has to end now. Kevin, I put it to you that the Burnaby experiment ends now.
I would like to hope so.
Who plays?
That's not even a question, is it?
No. Who do you put in at left back?
That's the bigger question. It's not about Burnaby.
Mitchell
I
Frame.
think the only option we've got at the moment is Ralston to come in and play there, because if Taylor's injured, Burnaby's not an option because he's just not good enough, and the young boy Frame is injured, I think. Then that's your kind of natural fullback, left backs out. If Frame's fit, I'd give him a shot, to be fair, because he can't do any worse than Burnaby. And I don't like the idea of moving Scales because it didn't work the last time when he played at left back. And he has been our best centre back all season. So you're going to weaken two positions really by moving Scales. So I'd probably go with Alston. It's either that or we do that really bold thing and we'd make the 3-5-2 switch that we've spoken about all day, because that might solve a few issues as well.
I looked at that goal one thing actually that I forgot to speak about is Miofsky, and I'm going to let you have the final word on this, Kevin, because I know you watched a lot of him when he played in Hungary. But when I watched the goal, the fact that Bernabe was so out of position actually put me in mind of the first goal against Kilmarnock. You remember when Greg Taylor was so out of position. I mean, he was sitting in the number 10 position when that goal came down his end. The two centre halves are on the back foot, and it's just like, if you get a good enough ball or finish, then you're going to concede. And we did concede, and it was Miofsky. And he's a player that apparently, Kev, Brendan Rodgers rated highly. He'd had him watched in every game this season. If the interest in Miofsky was true and real and realistic, it does beg not based on today, but it does beg the question: why didn't we go for him? You've got a guy in David Turnbull who, is a £2 million midfield player. Could he have been used as a part of a make weight deal? Not that we need them. We could have spent the money, but was that the reluctance? Were we reluctant to spend 4.5 on Miofsky?
I think it must have been something like that. I mean, when was the last time we spent that kind of money on somebody in Scotland? Was it Scott Brown was the last one that we'd have spent that kind of money on? But so right, we all know that January is the tough window to do your business in. You should do the bulk of your business in the summer. January is just getting those one or two final kind of missing pieces of the jigsaw and all that. Clubs don't want to sell. You can make whatever arguments you want. If you want a player badly enough and you've got £70 million burning a hole in your back pocket, spend the money. If you think Miofsky's the striker that can get you the goals to win you the league, spend the money. Take the risk. There's a team across the other side of Glasgow who've got no money, but they're spending it like confetti because they know that if they win it, there's a big bonus at the end of it for them. We've got the money, and we've been so risk averse that we are going to throw a league title away that should have been pretty much wrapped up by now, to be fair, because we were 8 points clear at one point. We should be sitting pretty comfortable just now, and we're not. Like I say, if Miofsky's the guy that you think it is, spend the money. Yes, and say, like, I watched them a lot when they played over here at MT, and they were always at the bottom end of the B1, so the top division here. Played quite an expansive attacking game, but really poor at the back, and ended up getting relegated in his second season with them there. But I think he top goal scored for them both times, 7 and 8 goals. They're not a huge goal scorer, but he's at the turn and a pretty average team. Thought he'd be a decent player for Aberdeen. Didn't think he would hit the ground running as well as he has. I think he's maybe scored more goals already this season than he did last time. And you can tell that he is a player. He's only 23 or 24, I think. He's young. He's adapted to life in Scotland. Listen, he might not be a player that's going to score as many goals in Europe next season if we'd signed him, but he can score his goals in this league. And for the next, 2-3 months, that's all we need. Someone that's going to score us the goals to get us over the line.
Yeah, that is what we need. I'm going to bring 2 more points up before we go. I keep saying it, but you're sticking around 1600. You're still on the live stream. Alex Birrell will beat that lot twice. Alex, we're going to have to. We're going to have to beat that lot twice because we go to Pittodrie and draw. We draw with St Johnstone at home. We go to Easter Road and draw. We are going to have to beat Rangers twice to still be in this title fight. That's the way that I see it. Estepona boy, I think it's more to do really with the other options. When Greg Taylor's out at left back, we have got a backup who, a long time ago we said isn't the answer, and Alexandro Bernabe. Tony Ralston can play there out of position. There's other players who can play there out of position. Your only real natural left back is Mitchell Frame, who is currently injured. We even young Montgomery unfortunately got a serious injury as well. So yeah, it's more to do with the experience, the drive, the fight, all these things, the winning mentality that Ralston undoubtedly has, that would probably veer me towards putting Tony at left back because he's the best of those available when Greg Taylor's out. But we shouldn't be in that position. We should have a ready-made replacement for Greg Taylor to step in, and we don't, and that's really poor. It's poor on the club. It's something that will come back to bite us. It did to a degree today because Bernabe has to share the responsibility of that goal that we conceded. Thank you, every single one of you, for getting involved. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be here no matter what for every single game and every single match day as well, Monday to Friday. But it's not just about a live stream. We get stuck in about other things as well. Live events, fully produced content like interviews with Alan Thompson and Johan Mialby, Pierre Van Hooydonk. They're all on the channel. We even released a single a while back. The reason I bring that up is it got its first live airing the other night at King Tut's Wawa Hut on Thursday night. The Glory and the Dream was played live by the Wakes. We get stuck in about quite a lot of different things here at Acsom. So join the community and we can get through days like today together. The frustrations, the joys, the highs and the lows. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved. Thank you once again, Chris, Kevin and Ian, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.